What if the biggest barrier to training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu wasn't skill, motivation, or time, but access? For busy professionals, frequent travelers, and practitioners living outside major metro areas, finding elite instruction has always been a logistics problem. My guest today built a platform to solve exactly that. And in doing so, he created an entirely new model for how martial arts can scale. Welcome to the Practice Pulse, where we explore how health, wellness, longevity, and growth-focused businesses are building, operating, and scaling in today's world. I'm your host, Nancy Margrit, founder of Optima Pro AI, and today we are talking about innovation at the intersection of martial arts, entrepreneurship, and technology. My guest is Michael Cragholm, the founder of GrapplApp. Described as the world's first mobile jiu-jitsu app, and the world's largest open mat finder. GrapplApp connects elite mobile BBJ instructors with busy professionals worldwide and gives black belts a platform to build and run their own mobile teaching businesses. Beyond the app, Michael also created the Jiu-Jitsu Entrepreneurs Mastermind, a community that applies the discipline, resilience, and strategic thinking of a black belt directly to business. Michael, welcome to the Practice Pulse.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah. So why don't you just take me back to the beginning? Tell me a little bit about your background. What was happening in your life or your training that really made you think, here's a real problem and here's a technology that I could actually help solve this problem with?
Awesome. I was in the Marine Corps for 20 years. And during that time, I loved training martial arts. And I had a lot of friends that didn't want to go to an actual jiu-jitsu academy because they didn't want to get hurt, or because in the Marine Corps, we worked so many hours, is that they couldn't convince their spouses to take 2 more hours to go wrestle sweaty strangers in pajamas while she is at the 16th hour with the children, right? Nah, doesn't work out like that. So when I retired from the Marine Corps, I did a skill bridge, which is an internship. And I realized quickly that I just didn't want to work for anybody else anymore. So I leveraged my black belt in jiu-jitsu by creating a mobile jiu-jitsu movement. Essentially, I monetized privates. I took out the location, the overhead, the inventory, and I basically turned your vehicle, your truck, into a mobile dojo. So I took my Yukon, I created Space Coast Mobile Jiu-Jitsu. There's a need because there's men out there who want to learn jiu-jitsu. They just can't make it. So I said, hey, my name's Michael. I'm a retired U.S. Marine combat veteran. I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt. I have mats from COVID. And so if you want to pay me a nice premium, I'll come to your home and train you at the hour that you choose. You're not going to get hurt. You're going to get quality jiu-jitsu instruction. I'm insured. I'm licensed. I'm certified as a black belt. And I would love to come train you. And it just kind of took off because it was very novel for something that we already do. Private instruction is not new. However, having a very specific niche, like a business model aimed directly at X, that was when I really noticed that there was a need for tech to back it up. Because in the back of my mind, I always had ones and zeros because there's no human emotion, right? You can just do it and you don't have to deal with drama and, human will and all that stuff. Because in the mastermind, when I had 50 people in it, it was like a lot and it was low ticket, but then I increased the prices like 5-fold and a bunch of people left and I've got like a dozen awesome members in there right now.
Nice.
So I realize I'm all over the place and you probably have 10 questions already. So the need was getting an entire demographic of men, which was my original niche, want to learn. They listen to Jocko, they listen to Joe Rogan, they just can't make it. So I say, how about this? I'll come train you once for free. Maybe you buy a package from me. We do a month. And when you're comfortable, please consider going to a local dojo and checking it out because there's the real reason, the best part about jiu-jitsu is the community. You meet so many amazing people. And for a lot of those dads or moms that are working so long during the day and they might be in a leadership or management position, there's no third place for people. A lot of times between home and work, jiu-jitsu is their third place, right? So it really gives them that outlet to be a better husband and better father, better wife for the females that eventually I started training. And I created GrapplApp because there was so much of a need when I was advertising on Instagram. I got a lot of attention, and essentially it all kind of worked out where Space Coast Mobile Jiu-Jitsu was born on Purple Heart Day, National Purple Heart Day. I have a Purple Heart.
Cool.
It's kismet. I was blown away with it. It was so, and that led into a bunch of people saying, "Hey man, can I do what you're doing?" And I'm like, "Yes, let's get this thing going because I want to help struggling black belts or purple belts or brown belts make a little side quiche, right? So maybe they have it to open up a gym and they don't want to go into debt. And then also those guys that want to learn jujitsu, give them an opportunity to get their feet wet, right? Get their teeth into jujitsu so they know to tie a belt when they are Nick the new guy at the school and they don't feel like a complete like, whoa, right? So that's really where the need was. And also in our culture, people travel a ton and they want to train jujitsu at different locations because maybe one of their favorite grapplers literally trains or teaches at that location. And we also have this thing in our culture where you can drop in, and usually it's, $20, $25 or for free. You never know. It's kind of, do you sign a waiver? Do you not sign a waiver? Is it a friendly gym? Are they going to murk me? That kind of stuff.
Right.
And so I decided to create GrapplApp, and it is the world's first mobile jiu-jitsu app. It'll probably be the only world's mobile jiu-jitsu app. I said the world's largest open mat finder mainly because we're so accurate. There's a slew of others that are out there, but it's all data scraped. My wife and I and the gym owners themselves put the 1,250 gyms that are in there today in there. And then just last night, I got a report from my developer, who's an American here in Texas and who built GrapplApp, a Jiu-Jitsu purple belt. And he's like, "Hey, 63 of them were corrupted. Here's the list. Boom, boom, bang." And then his AI suite commander, I love it, caught a bunch of this stuff that he built. Yeah. So that's where the need came from, and that's where the inspiration came from. And then I realized, as I was able to get attention online, like I have been pretty decent at saving money for the past 20 years in the Marine Corps. I had a first sergeant that bet me that I couldn't be a millionaire when I left the Marine Corps. And essentially, when I retired, I had set myself up into such a strong position that I don't need a job. And so I was able to burn the boats and go all in. That's been one of my superpowers, like my faith in myself and my confidence. I've been shot, blown up, all that stuff. Addicted to alcohol. It's just been, 10 years. Woo. So it's like,
congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
And then, combat comes with a price. A lot of dudes I had next to me perish, and it's not fun to watch that happen. So luckily I had some tremendous leadership that helped me get through that early, especially on active duty. So when you're on active duty, you're like, they got to take care of you. It's like, if they leave, that's why you see so many veteran stories that are so unfortunate, because you just don't get the care that you did when you were on active duty. If you're on a colonel's roster, more than likely in today's day and age, in the Marine Corps, you're going to have some compassionate, empathetic leader in the Marine Corps. I know, crazy, right? That in your chain of command that's going to see something and they'll want to help. And that's what happened with me. Is I was pretty sick, just carried around a lot of baggage. I mean, try and stuff 10 pounds of crap into a 5-pound bag. It's going to burst seams or it's going to overflow, and that's all that happened with me. My migraines were so out of control. I didn't drink for the first 15 years of like when I was 19 to 35. I had a friend pass away from an alcohol overdose, so I didn't drink. But then I ended up just thinking one night, my migraine, I had been up for days. My head was pounding and I thought maybe a glass of wine would help. And within a few nights, it was a bottle, and then within it was, so it spiraled. And then luckily I had some dudes that were like, they caught me right before I went splat. So that's also a big driving factor in why I have so much faith in myself and my mission, because I feel like God's blessed me and I cannot fold his hand. I can't. I have to play it. And I'm all in because I get messages like one of the questions, thank you so much, that you sent was essentially like, what does the impact that I'm having look like today? Well, gosh, I had somebody call me yesterday and he told me that when he met me at a seminar the week before, he was like, man, you got on the mats, you went around, you introduced yourself to people, you said hello to the people in the corner. And he's like, and then when we grappled, you were really good. And I knew you were going to be able to beat my ass, but you didn't, you know? And so, and he said, I just want you to know that, like, to me, that's what a black belt's supposed to be. And I was like,
Yeah.
and so it comes through in that way because jiu-jitsu might be the last house in the block for them. A lot of people have tried church. They've tried AA. They've tried NA.
Mhm.
They're at their jumping off point. And unfortunately, too many people make a permanent decision to a temporary problem, especially in the veteran community.
Mhm.
If you joined a martial arts studio, dojo, academy, school, and you walk in and you kind of, you put your ego to the side and you kind of get that courage and you try it out and you step onto the mat, you're going to slap hands with somebody, you're going to fist bump them, and they're going to grab you. And all of your problems, the TPS report that your boss was bugging you about, the argument that you had with your spouse last night, like the meal that you paid too much for, all that stuff is gone because the only thing that's on your mind is this person's will in life right now is to turn off the blood to my brain or to bend one of my joints in a way that it's in a direction it's not supposed to go. So everything comes front and center. You're totally mindful. It's like you're surfing. That's why all the Brazilians moved to when they brought the jiu-jitsu over to America, they
Mhm.
moved to Torrance, California, because the waves, so they could surf. And then what did they do? They taught jiu-jitsu in their garage until it became a huge thing. What am I doing? What did I do 3 years ago? I started to teach jiu-jitsu in my garage, and now it's getting to be a huge thing. So that's where the need came from.
That's awesome, and I love that you've really identified some very specific groups. It kind of started, it sounds like, with, like, entrepreneurs or professionals that are too busy, but you also sound like you really kind of have a little bit of a focus in the veteran community, as well as those that maybe are struggling with some addiction. It sounds like this is a really good platform to really help people create that tunnel vision that you need sometimes to get rid of all that noise from the outside. It's like almost like a meditation as you get in there because you're so laser focused, and having that being present and in that moment is so important, we know, for our health and longevity. So I think that's wonderful that you're bringing that out to individuals who need it. Very
Thank you.
cool.
That's exactly why when I knew I wanted to create a mastermind, I was going to call it the Mobile Jiu-Jitsu Mastermind because people kind of wanted coaching. And I was like, well, I'm in Dave Perez's Military Millionaire War Room Mastermind. It's a real estate investors group for veterans. And so I thought, okay, what encapsulates like who I am, what I am? I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt and I'm an entrepreneur. What is a black belt? A black belt is a white belt that just never quit. So
Mhm.
you take those things and you say, a jiu-jitsu entrepreneur is somebody that embodies the qualities of courage, humility, stick-to-itiveness, toughness, resilience, courage again, right? A little aggression because you're going to get pushed around a little bit, right?
Mhm.
And third year now, and I've been pushed around a lot. Good thing is I push back harder, and that makes people be like, whoa, whoa, you know. But that for me, everything is riding on it. Like my life is like I don't have a backup plan. I have, I have some real estate, but I never want to. I worked so hard to get to a specific spot. I don't want to go backwards for the sake of entrepreneurship. I also don't want to take on investor cash because I love my freedom. I
Mhm.
love being able to go online and say whatever I want and know that if that offends somebody, that's fine. That's on them because there's companies out there that I would love to get in bed with, but you know, I don't know. I'm very open about testosterone and cannabis. Those are two things that I think help men so much in their 40s and 50s, especially veterans, because I've had way too many dudes that were like super awesome decide to start taking some SSRIs and they happen to be vets and they started drinking too much and then they isolate after the core and then they get heavy because they don't have to do physical fitness anymore
Mhm.
and they lose their identity, they lose that paycheck also, and they lose themselves. And then ultimately, what do Marines love to do? They they love to kill themselves, and they do it at a rate that is just mind the term mind blowing is unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. It's the suicide rate among our nation's veterans is astronomical. It's a constant battle to get those numbers down, just because of what they've been through and what they've seen and done, and grappling with that is just
Literally, that's why I'm like, get to jujitsu so you can grapple with it. Like
right.
you're gonna be able to get out that physical exertion that you did not think. You're like, oh, I scream in the pillow from time to time. No, dude, you get to legally choke the dog crap out of somebody. You know, like it's great. You're just, so it takes you to a place where you get to go, when you leave, you go back and you're just like, it's cathartic. It's like, it's cleansing, fire and water, all that good stuff. And, I believe in it. My wife, she's, meditating right now. So she does her, metaphysical
Yeah.
stuff, the, physical stuff. And so far it's been working out.
That's great. So I want to get into the mastermind thing, but before we do that, can you explain a little bit for people who maybe aren't familiar, like what open mats are and why was finding them, like why has that historically been such a friction point for people?
Because there are old school Brazilians that don't like their students training at other locations because they might get poached or might, give away some secrets. And it's like, dude, there's this thing, YouTube, we call them Sensei YouTube, where you can get freaking every secret in jiu-jitsu for free. So all it does is if you have, if you're a good ambassador, then your sensei or your coach, your professor is usually what they're called. It elevates them. It gives them a good name. So the only thing is like old school jiu-jitsu, Brazilian politics, you're called a crianche, a traitor. GrapplApp is the anti-crianche app. We encourage people to cross-train because what does it do? It builds your network, and you get past a lot of the superficialities that, hey, would you like to jump on a Zoom? Or, hey, would you like to go to a cup of coffee? And it's like, okay, that's cool. No, I'm going to try and freaking simulated end your life, right? Like, and you're going to go to sleep unless you do this thing, right? And so it's just absolute. You get dopamine, endorphins, like the connection where your oxytocin goes through the roof when you're training jujitsu. Your cortisol levels are probably going to spike, but they're going to spike for a different reason. You're going to train your brain to recognize real danger from false danger. And then over time, you're thinking, and then your confidence goes up, your waistline goes down. Unfortunately, like jiu-jitsu, it's very much like entrepreneurship. You're gonna find yourself at year one, like looking back and be like, why do I still suck so much? And everybody's like, dude, you have come so far. And you're like, I can't see any of it. And it's like, well, that's because you're measuring yourself by the hour. Us seeing, and so big similarities. Yeah, entrepreneurship, jiu-jitsu, they have so much together. And that's why I created the Jiu-Jitsu Entrepreneurs Mastermind International, which is now being rebranded as the Jiu-Jitsu Entrepreneurs Mastermind UK, because I'm starting another chapter in Australia and I wanted to take that out. I've had great success with the mastermind. Did I answer your question? I hope
you did.
So I was just going to start talking about the mastermind, but I want to make sure that I'm.
No, you answer my question, and I love how you kind of framed the way your jujitsu app is kind of almost like a networking. It's like it made me think like this is like extreme networking, because you're like meeting all these people, but it's like, no, I don't want to have a cup of coffee with you, man. Like let's see who passes out first. Like who can get the other to the floor and tap out. Like let's go. Like this is networking.
That's right.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool. I think there's something to that. I might start a local extreme networking group and see what we can do.
Yeah, I'll show up. Literally. So what I used to do in year 2 is I would go to conferences in Orlando and I would I would just be in the lobby with my mats and I'd put my jiu-jitsu uniform on. So like bigger pockets when they came through, like they had a bunch of big real estate names and stuff. And they're like, doing it, and all of a sudden they're like, who's this jujitsu dude with mats? And I'm like, I'm giving privates for $250 an hour if you if you have a room or a suite or something. And so I went and I was able, I've trained people at the JW Marriott and,
Yeah.
so like men and women. I did get into training women because at first I didn't, because it just, that whole, remember the movie Loverboy with Patrick Dempsey and, pizza with
Yeah.
anchovies and stuff like that. So wrestling women at their homes.
Maybe questionable. You gotta have some extra precautions in place.
Yeah, if any, I know myself, but I know the internet as well. So I was like, ah. And so what I did is I found a loophole by applying to Step Up for Students, and that's the homeschool network for Florida. So
Cool.
I'm the only mobile jiu-jitsu instructor in Florida. Actually, I take that back. Evan Mortar with Envoy Mobile in Niceville. He runs a really good one, and he's in my mastermind. So Step Up for Students, it's great because the families just use their grant money and pay me directly.
It's nice, yeah.
I was able to increase my prices, get a little bit more exposure. And this way I can advertise on like Nextdoor and stuff. My Instagram is not safe for children, right? I'm not going to, I say not safe for children because I use the F word sometimes and I'll like,
I feel like that's pretty commonplace for children at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just don't. So I get thirst trap a lot and I'm like, dude, I'm just in shape. I'm not like sitting there, but I'm like training or doing something on the beach, and then it's like, hey, bro, I have a 96.5% male audience. So the thing is, anytime I say that, I'm like, hey, man, I made you feel some type of way. So that means you need to look at yourself. For some reason, you think I'm cute. I said nothing. And so they're like, oh, shoot. Yeah.
I like that a lot. Yeah. You got to call it out when you see it, So,
which is all good because I want dads to get in shape. I want them to be able to, like, I have a reel that's gone viral many times. It's gotten several million views, and it's called the Don't Get Slept in Front of Your Family Starter Pack. And I just go, dads, and I'm just in my kitchen at 3 a.m. shirtless. And I'm like, hey, this is how to not get knocked out by crackhead Tony. And because that's the whole goal. You can take punches and you can get hit. You just can't get knocked out, because once you get out, that's real bad. So I talk about keeping hands up, right? Making sure that this area is protected, because when guys go like this, it's like, but so that for me, I've reposted it a few times and gotten it like in trial reels and been able to, get 20,000 followers just from that reel. That's
awesome. Yeah. That's really awesome. Yeah. I think teaching some of those protection techniques as well, like you're talking about, teaching women and grappling with women, I think can be an important step for women. I know it's something that I sought out when my daughter was in high school, trying to find a place where can I get her self-defense classes so that when I send her off to college, I can send her off with, a little more confidence and a knife. But so you make sure that she's, protected when she's out there, right?
My daughters sleep with a Gerber underneath their pillow. I'm not going to tell them I wouldn't give them guns, even though they can shoot 12 and 14. But, I wouldn't, they don't need a gun in the room.
No,
but
they don't. Yeah.
I told them, I'm like, first of all, to get to my kids from my house would require, so they got to get through me. They got to get through my 120-pound Rottweiler.
Yeah.
They got to get through my wife, who is she's Italian.
Mama bear. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my children, they've trained jiu-jitsu for 6 years. They know, like, that's the thing about kids, is they got these bladey little arms. And so when they choke, it hurts. You'll go unconscious. I tell kids, just latch on. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
The homeschool has been great, because it's given a lot of doors as well. And I want to get into more public speaking that is geared towards like corporate energy, I think you could kind of say, is helping building and so forth, because I've got a few things that I'm working on. One of them is called The Dichotomy of Entrepreneurship, from Fallujah to Founder. And because I was a second lieutenant in the Battle of Fallujah, where I received my Purple Heart. And so for me, the best contemporary guidebook on leadership today is The Dichotomy of Leadership. And that's by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. It really addresses, it's the sequel to to Extreme Ownership. Just does a tremendous job of recognizing that with every decision and with every action, there is a balance, and there's a action, reaction, counter reaction. And that if you're going to have X amount of Y, you might have to sacrifice Z, or perception, all these things. And I noticed that there was a lot of similarities like between entrepreneurship and combat, again, like jiu-jitsu, self-promotion being one versus humility, right? Like we're taught to be humble and to not boast too much. As a Marine, that's crazy. But in entrepreneurship, self-promotion is looked upon as potentially braggadocious, or if you're not clear with your message, then people will be like, who is this guy? But if you're well and you do it well, it can serve you.
Right. Yeah, and you do a really great job, I think, of paralleling the two. Right there, you were talking about in combat circumstances, but in jiu-jitsu. So maybe tell us a little more. You've talked here and there about the mastermind group, but give us kind of a high level overview of how the mastermind group started, what it does, and what it's all about, and what kind of your mission is with that group.
Awesome. I created the Jiu-Jitsu Entrepreneurs Mastermind about 2 years ago, right after I started the sketches for GrapplApp, which is in November of 2023. Essentially, it came from, there were people that weren't interested in mobile jiu-jitsu, interested in learning from me. And, the principles of small business, fairly universal, right? So I thought to myself, okay, if I keep it to the grappling combat sports niche industry, it's actually not, I think combat sports is more of a market. Fitness is probably the industry. Excuse me. I thought, plus I was in Dave Perret's From Military to Millionaire War Room Mastermind. And that serves me tremendously well because of all the connections. And then I learn a lot. Like Bedros Keuilian was a guest the other day, so I got a chance to talk to him. He trains jiu-jitsu. And I just realized that I had an opportunity to get people together for an hour and give them very specific, to answer all the questions that I was getting all day long from people all across the world in the industry of fitness and martial arts that wasn't quite related to mobile jiu-jitsu. And I was having success in guiding them. So I thought, well, coaching, I'm not the biggest fan of the word coach because I know a lot of coaches on LinkedIn, and I wouldn't pay them to coach me to wipe my booty, so I ended up coming up with the mastermind. I call it, for the JGEM, the Jiu-Jitsu Entrepreneurs Mastermind. It's a selective network of visionary entrepreneurs. It's people that have to apply. It's 2 weeks. I get to know them. They get to know me. They come to the group. If it's a culture fit or personality fit, great. Sometimes it doesn't really matter. But if they're like, if they're a good person, great. If they give me any then I'm like, no, thank you. The invitation isn't there anymore.
Right.
And I've got so many people that are doing Abe with Substats. It's a data analysis and computer vision pose estimation model for jiu-jitsu. You think about it, that's freaking insane. Like getting an AI to recognize all of the positions that humans are. It's a whirling dervish. And so he's training this thing and he's doing great. He's kicking butt. And he's a Marine, another Marine, Damon, for a flow mentor, doing not the same thing, but close. We have people that are kettlebell coaches, TRT clinic guys. One of my ideas with the mastermind is, as it grew, I realized that I wanted to have a much bigger and global impact because GrapplApp's purpose is to cure loneliness one armbar at a time. So I thought, all right, let's see how, because, GrapplApp grappling changes people's lives. I think grappling is the love language of the world. So I decided to go international with the mastermind, but it's now too big for me to handle all at once. And I have these people in my mastermind, like Ed Smith. He owns Grapple Worlds, which I'm a commentator for over in England, and Shane Moore with Grapple Culture. He's a black belt that traveled the world for the last year and a half in very obscure places training jiu-jitsu. So I essentially asked them if they wanted to start the JGEM UK and then the JGEM Australia, and then use my network of, 50,000 people across all platforms, not quite, but close, to help drive them huge names, because I provide them. So every 4 weeks, it's usually we do one accountability and goals session, which is kind of an open, I call it an open chat, not an open mat. And then I always have a speaker, who I call the honorable speaker, like a guest speaker, come and share their entrepreneurial journey. And the reason I've been able to get huge names like Rafael Lovato Jr., who is one of the biggest names in all of freaking combat sports ever, to come and speak to us for free, right? Is because the people in there are specifically there for entrepreneurship and not so much the grappling acumen. And those guys at the top level, as they're aging, are looking to do more things, right? Like, look at Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent. He recognized when his album started going down, so he went into different things. So they want to have a platform to be able to speak. And I have had huge names: Sean Melanson, Matt Vega, Shane Curtis, Nate Orchard, just the past 5 guests we've had, and a few others that I'm missing. But I've probably had 30 guests that were huge names. And what it does is it just builds connections with amongst each other, and then also brings people into the network that I can now go help facilitate these. And somebody wants to start one in Thailand, which I'm super excited about. That's because cool. Muay Thai was my very first love. Reason I got in jiu-jitsu is because some jiu-jitsu guy beat me up. He just ate my punches and then tackled me and then grappled me. And I was like, what is going on? He's like, you got to try jiu-jitsu, bro. And I'm like, all right. Yeah, he was a CPA. I was a Marine. I'm like, how does this nerd whooping my butt?
That's great. You got taken down by a CPA. That's awesome.
Totally. Yeah. He was handsome too. I was like, bastards.
Well, that's awesome. No, I think the mastermind is just a phenomenal idea, and being able to, I mean, I'm in a mastermind group, and the value that I get out of just being around people who are in that headspace, sharing their experiences, sharing what's worked for them, what hasn't worked for them, is just, it's priceless. And especially when you get up in that upper echelon, that upper level, like you're talking about, you're going to attract those big names because they also want to be around those people, right? If you want to soar, you got to fly with the eagles, not the turkeys. So you got to get in it, right? So I love that you're building that network and drawing on those parallels at the same time with like what it takes to be a black belt. And because it is, entrepreneurship is a journey, and you really do have to, it's like, it's stick-to-itiveness, right? Like if you're going to get there, you got to stick to it. And it's the ones that stick to it that get there.
Yeah, there's a saying, it's in wrestling, it's not about who's the best, it's about who's left.
Yeah. 100%. Yep. It is 100%. Yeah. So before we get into, I just have like a couple more questions, and I know we're running low on time.
No,
so
I'm here.
Just give me tell me just a little bit about like how it works for each side, like students versus instructors when they come onto the app, and then kind of how you decided on the session rate and how that's positioned to kind of empower instructors, but also still be, a good price point for those people that are coming on looking for that one-to-one instruction.
So thank you, and phenomenal questions, because we do have one, correct, the traveling jiu-jitsu enthusiast, who would be the Grapple Pass card holder. That costs $5.99 for 4 drop-ins a month, $10.99 for 8 drop-ins a month. And then you have the black card, which is $19.99. And these are like early launch prices because they're going to go up. That gets you unlimited cross training to any Grapple Pass approved gym inside GrapplApp. Because what we did is since we were a mobile jiu-jitsu platform, I was like, how can we get in greatest of graces with the huge population of gyms out there with the technology that we're leveraging? Well, I thought, okay. It wasn't me. I had a few thoughts, but my partner and Ed, who owns Grapple Worlds, who I do very close to a partner, they essentially floated to me one day. They're like, why don't we create a revenue sharing platform for brick and mortar gym owners, that whenever they have any of these cross trainers come in, everything's taken care of, waiver signed. All they have to do is when they go into GrapplApp, they can literally just hit, as they pull in, they're going to go boom, on the QR code for their Grapple Pass, and it's going to register them in. And then, of course, I'm going to admin functions, but all this and it's going to give them everything that they need. So on the first of every month, any Grapple Pass approved gym that has Grapple Pass users, like people that travel, go and check in and train at their place, they get a slice of all revenue that is generated by Grapple Pass for that month is distributed by volume to the participating gyms. So we
Cool.
yeah. And so that's like our gift back. It kind of,
Right.
it eliminates the headache of, do I have to pay? Do I not have to pay? It eliminates the headache of, is there a waiver? Is there not a waiver? And then we also have a way to actually, do make an addendum for your own waiver that we have the universal one, but it's really good. And, is it a friendly gym? And people in my network trust me. And when I vouch for people, I've had a few people kind of turn out to be not the person that I thought they were, but that's just business, right?
That happens. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I don't get so in bed that I'm going to catch a, entrepreneurially transmitted disease, which for me, those would be lack of honesty, right? Like you're lying.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You can't make a decision, right? Those would be two ones.
I think you need to coin that phrase, ETD.
All right, all right.
I think you need to write that down.
Entrepreneurial.
You gotta watch who you get in bed with. You don't want to get an ETD.
Nancy,
that's great.
This has been tremendously fun. So I just want to say that before we end. But that's kind of
cool. Okay, so one more question before I'm going to do two more questions and then we'll do the lightning round. Okay, quick question. When we did our little pre-call right before we started filming, I was talking about not drinking coffee after noon, and you said, "Oh, we'll talk about that on the show." So tell me about your wake up at 4, take a nap in the middle of the day, stay up till midnight.
Yeah, I've had terrible insomnia for many decades, and what I was listening to one day was Ed Milet, and he basically said that if you aren't sleeping well, that try to break up your whole 24 hours into 2 work days. And that's essentially, because like for me, when I wake up, the first thing that I'm thinking, I condition myself to like the very first thing is I slough out of bed, my knees hit the ground, and I just say, Lord, in your name, I pray for another alcohol-free day. And then I set an intention. And that like my intention for the day will be usually the first word that comes in, something like gratitude or, something pretty, what people would call cheesy. Right. And my brain is on from there. And that's why I don't eat until 2:00. Usually like I haven't eaten today, but I'm very active up until that time because I don't want heavy carbohydrates weighing me down. It fogs my brain up. And I can't be as fast, and my body, the cortisol and my insulin levels are much lower. So I lost my train of thought there for a second. It was you
were talking about the cortisol levels. You do intermittent fasting.
And the question was, and I was getting to
taking a nap.
God. Yes, thank you.
Yep.
It's time for my nap.
We're getting that time, it's time for you to eat and take a nap.
I mean, literally, ma'am, it is 1:45. So technically I would be, and this isn't every day. This is just,
Right.
When the bout comes, because they're usually surrounded with, they're not even called clusters anymore. They're so bad. My doctor is like, dude, you don't have clusters. You have like debilitating, terrible migraines. And and it will come with like a bunch of bad stuff, depression.
Yeah.
Usually it takes a dink because I can't do the things that I want to do, which I've, got clinical depression diagnosis, you name it, I got it. And that's why it's like, I can relate to people because I know I literally been snatched out of my house by the freaking police, thrown in a gurney by the EMTs and rushed to a freaking psychiatric ward where I spent several nights around some of the freaking most insane people that I have ever, like literally clinic. And I'm like, how did I end up here? And it was just like, so today, I know where my 2 feet are. I know my 2 feet are firmly planted in the grounds, or on the ground, but I know my head's in the clouds, but the vision is very strong.
Mm-hmm.
And, okay. Want to make sure that and then, so we were talking,
We were talking about drinking coffee afternoon, and you were saying you split up your day, and so you have a nap in the afternoon. What time do you do your nap?
Usually about 12 to 2, and
Okay.
I call it a nap because I do sometimes fall asleep. However, I don't always.
Okay.
But what will happen is Gordon Ryan, my huge Roddy, he requires a lot of snuggling.
Mhm.
And by that time in the day, it's Florida. I've had a lot of sun on my skin because I go outside and I usually do a lot of my work with my shirt off and then on the beach because it's right there. And so I'll fall asleep for a little bit and then I'll get back up and then it'll be my workday number 2. And then I'll repeat because at the end of workday 1 is when I have my big feed. So my insulin levels spike, all that stuff. It's happening. My body, I'm getting the carbohydrates. It's that big blanket. And so I use those next 2 hours to I'll walk real quick again so that I can get my digestion going. I'll take a half an hour walk right after I eat. And then I sleep and then I get up and I do it all again, over again. And usually in that work day is about 4 hours of dedicated social media. I'm making 1 to 3 reels a day on Instagram. I'd say 5 to 7 stories, 20 DMs and about 50 comments. And, then I go, I used to be active on LinkedIn, but I'm like, not so much, and then just getting on all other platforms. That's about 4 hours of it. And then obviously lifting and working out or doing some form of jiu-jitsu. Like today at 5:30, I have one of my oldest clients. He's coming here to train jiu-jitsu in my garage. So I give him a little discount because I don't have to go, I'm not going to him, but I know him. I know his family. And, then I'll probably have calls all night or people, because that's the time when a lot of these dudes that want to start a side hustle or start their own thing, that's when they've got.
That's when they're available. Yeah.
Yep. So I'm locked in at that time. And that's really, my multiple sweet spots for me. But when I'm able to get at least 3 to 4, like workday 1 and workday 2 days in it's like you compound that over a year. And we're talking, I've got 500 extra hours dedicated to what I'm doing. Not to mention, there's been a tremendous amount of copycats and people that are mimicking exactly what I do, which is great. It's flattering. I just kind of feel bad for them because I'm like, dude, you have a job and like you vibe coded your whole app. And like, I have an engineer who is a wizard. He's a senior engineering manager at a very huge tech company with like 10 dudes that work directly underneath him with teams that are like AI, like it's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm so happy with GrapplApp because we used Flutterflow when we were first started, just to make it easy. Flutterflow on Firebase. We used DreamHost, all for our other stuff. And then essentially once we validated the market with product market fit, did Dan Martell's SaaS Academy, was in a couple others like Tony Ubertaccio's entire entrepreneur system. It was really good. And we kind of found product market fit. And when that happened, I was able to say, all right, Eric, he's my partner, my technical co-founder, which again, why we're so attractive from the outside is because you have 2 Americans, 2 jiu-jitsu guys, and I'm a black belt visionary with no job. He's a purple belt it's been in corporate America for 30 years, senior engineer, right? And he's like, you name it, he can do it.
Right.
And so we're very, very attractive in that arena. And that's why I feel like while people are like doing this, like we're like that, and it's like, and their timeline is like, it moves like this fast and mine's like this fast. I call it ludicrous speed. I'm dark helmet, I'm like baseballs and hey, let's see what happens.
Right. Very cool. Awesome. Great. It's good to get kind of like an awareness of how you're doing that. So very cool. I do the intermittent fasting and I do wake up at 4 a.m. It's not all the time. So maybe I'll try that next time I wake up at 4 a.m. I'll just kick my day off, see what happens. So
one thing that's critical is making sure you put collagen in your coffee because what that's going to do is give you a little bit of protein. You keep your insulin sensitivity down, your carbohydrates low, but you're also feeding the machine. So it's not getting this like, I'm starving kind of thing. You're actually like in that really nice zone. And then you can eat, couple eggs, couple hash browns, some bacon, whatever you want, nothing stupid, but then you have that digestion period and then you can do it all over again, especially if you go in 1 to 2 workouts and you're walking. You remember Chuck Woolery? He'd say 2 and 2. Well, from Love Connection, that's kind of what I say is when men are like, hey man, how'd you get so lean? And I'm like, the only thing I really say is like, you walk 2 miles before you eat at 2:00.
No, I think that's great. That's great advice. And I know for women, it's a little different with intermittent fasting. Especially with age, like I don't intermittent fast like I used to because of the way it affects hormones. But I'm a firm believer in collagen in your coffee, and maybe a little bit of MCT oil. It depends on how I kind of do that every now and then. I don't do it all the time. But yeah, and then I got to get my protein. I just chug a protein shake because I suck at getting protein.
So, it's cool. This is just real small, but my friend told me in the Navy once, just put an egg yolk, crack an egg and put it right in black coffee.
Really?
It will blow your mind.
I'm going to try that.
It's first I posted online this some years ago. People are like, oh my God, that's the nastiest thing. And then they're
No, it sounds actually delicious. Yeah. Yeah. Cause I used to do MCT oil and then butter in my coffee. I stopped doing the butter, but yeah, I eat over easy eggs when I eat eggs. So I would for sure. Yeah. Maybe froth it up in there. That sounds good. I'm going to try that.
let me know. That could be a good reel right there.
Yeah, right. That's some high quality content right there. Okay, so one more question before we do the lightning round. Tell me a story of somebody who started off with your app and had just some kind of transformation. Like what did they experience, or even like what could someone experience? A busy professional coming in that is looking for something to help them solve a pain point for them. What is that? What is this? What does your app do? And how does this jiu-jitsu community really change things for them?
The guy who's looking for jiu-jitsu when he's traveling, he's got some usually there's a reason people go to jiu-jitsu. And it's dreadful to some people to think that I'm going to be gone from jiu-jitsu for a week. And that absolutely, they're fearful of that. So I will say, we'll make an avatar for the very specific person, like we were talking earlier, on how I get that impact and that influence back. I have screenshot after screenshot, and I screenshot them all, and I have a folder for it. All the success stories about GrapplApp. And essentially it's, yo, dude, just traveled to Orlando, just went to X, Y, and Z city, was looking for a place to train on Google. It was complete crapshoot, trash. There was a Taekwondo academy in there, and then half of them the website was wrong and they didn't even pick up. And then I decided, and then usually it's always like pause. And then I remembered GrapplApp, Michael. Oh my gosh. So they'll pull up my app and and so many times I have gotten, and within 5 minutes, I was at the gym for training in, wherever I was supposed to be. I've had owners of other companies that are in direct, I don't want to say competition with me, but they're very much in my niche. I got two of them. They wrote me, and it's cool. They'll admit to it. They're like, yo, man, I just went to the city and I tried using my app to find a gym, and it wasn't successful. So I was like, I'll try GrapplApp. Like, screw you. I found a place to train. Which is cool because I have good relationships with all the other people in the app community, because ultimately I look at it like this. They're going to have a customer base that's going to need to be offboarded when they close up shop one day. Why not offer them a dignified exit with saying, hey, you offboarded your guys on the GrapplApp, I'll onboard them. And let's say at $50,000 plus profit over the course of however much time, I'll give you 25 cents of every dollar that those customers generate over the course of a year. And that is a dignified act. So that's why I'm like, hey, rising tide lifts all boats. It does no good to be a douche, or a jerk to people. I was, a scary guy for a long time. Those days are over. And I want people to also recognize me as the leader in the jiu-jitsu mobile application world that I am, because no one else has nearly the voice and the reach that I do. And I'm also making the steps through things like the Jiu-Jitsu Entrepreneurs Mastermind. Like when I say I'm here in this niche, it's true because I'm actively creating organizations that supporting these instructors in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
So that is what I hear significantly. And the next step is, once we get the revenue sharing thing going, and I get, this might take a year. I'm okay with that, is to have somebody say, holy smokes, man. I just got the money that Grapple Pass just gave me is way more than I was like ever received from, just drop-ins alone. Because
Right.
they usually get it for free anyways. It's to pay, but then they have grants. I was like, oh, it's okay. Maybe you buy a shirt, maybe you don't. This way, it's all taken care of. And the prices right now are super low because $19.99 to cross-train damn near anywhere you want. If I can get 5,000 gyms Grapple Pass approved with 25 to say 30,000 people on that changes the market. So
it does.
I'll be talking to you. Let's say we'll run this back in a year or two, and
we'll do a follow-up and see how things are going. Well, cool. Well, Michael, let's do a quick lightning round, and then we'll close out. Just so you know, when we close out, we'll cut this little tidbit out. This is just for your knowledge.
Awesome.
When we close out, if you can stay on, it allows the video and audio to upload fully. So that
never get off Riverside because sometimes it shits you a bunch of things,
Yeah. Just wanted to throw that out there. I realized I was like, oh, I didn't tell him that. So, okay. All right. So let's jump into the lightning round then. Okay. So what is one myth about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or building a business in the martial arts world that you'd like to eliminate?
That Jiu-Jitsu is gay. It's not gay.
Huh. Okay. I've not heard that. All right. What I had not. So I'm like, that's good to know that I didn't know that was like a myth.
We can talk.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not. The reason it's a myth is because you have sweaty Herculean men
hugging each other.
Not just that, scissoring, right? You've got some of the most each other's back, take their back, you're mounting them and all that stuff. And it's so hyper masculine that it's like when I was in the infantry, in the Marine Corps infantry, there's a saying. There is there's nothing gayer than a heterosexual infantryman, right? Like
really?
Because when you're clustered together, and Jiu-Jitsu is a little bit different because, I have a lot of women in it, and the infantry is different now because we have females in it, but not really. However, when you put so many men together and you absolutely the one common thread that everybody has is that their life is miserable. The only thing that you can do is bond, or you turn on each other.
Yeah.
So that has led to our community openly mocking ourselves by saying how gay Jiu-Jitsu is, right? I love my gays, and I love, I freaking love them to death. It's just, you're just, it looks.
It's not sexual.
No.
It doesn't seem sexual to me. It looks very aggressive when I watch it.
If you go and you subscribe to a few channels and like the memes and everything, like literally, I make some really good meme ones, but it's also because there's a lot of men with insecurities that latch on to that as their reason to not train. And it's like, I don't want to go, dude, I see red. I'm not going to wrestle somebody, like I'm just going to knock him out. It's like.
Those are the guys with the dad bods, not your kind of dad bod, but the other kind of dad bod. All right. Well, good to know. Okay. So the next, that was very long for a lightning round. Sorry, I got a little off tangent.
That was my bad. I can keep going.
So what habit or mindset from the mats has most shaped how you lead and build?
I'm going to say resilience. I originally was going to say courage, but you just like in jiu-jitsu and boxing, you're going to get knocked down, you're going to get thrown, and you have to get up. You just have to get up. A lot of times, nobody's going to be there to pick you up, but you have to get up.
Okay, last one, super easy. Where can people find GrapplApp and learn more about Jiu-Jitsu Entrepreneurs Mastermind?
Thank you. We are at app.grapplapp.io. If you want to go straight to the app.grapplapp.io, no E, one word. And if you want to go to apply for the Jiu-Jitsu Entrepreneurs Mastermind, just go to grapplapp.io. Click on JGEM, fill out the information, the application, and it'll send it to me. And then I'm also very active on Instagram at Space Coast Mobile Jiu-Jitsu. Brevard County is known as the Space Coast where the rockets get launched. So, and then I have Instagram at grapplapp.io as well. But if anybody wants to contact me directly, 321-477-4504.
Cool. We will include all of that in the show notes. And Michael, this has been a great conversation. I think what you're building with GrapplApp is a real example of what happens when a practitioner understands both the problem and the community deeply enough to build a solution that actually fits. So the mobile model, the open map finder, the mastermind, it all connects into something bigger than just an app. And you just did a beautiful way, or you beautifully kind of wove all of that together to really help people find what they need. So thank you so much for being on the show and for sharing all of your thinking behind that.
Thank you, Nancy. It was a pleasure.
Wonderful. So to our listeners, if you are interested in the BJJ world or just curious about how niche communities are building technology-driven businesses that scale without losing their souls, GrapplApp is worth paying attention to. And if you'd like to learn more about innovations in the health, wellness, and longevity space and how these businesses are growing, make sure to like and subscribe the Practice Pulse. As always, innovation creates possibility, implementation turns it into growth, and we'll see you next time.